In today's lecture of GS1 series, we'll be looking at the historical background of polity by Laxmikanth. But this is not actually from the polity aspect, but we are looking at as we are doing the GS series, historical background is another important aspect that is coming in the GS1 syllabus. So we'll be doing this, and I'll be adding this video in both polity playlist and also in the GS1 playlist. So first we will be looking at company rule. We have seen in the previous lectures or how East India Company established itself as a trading company or as a business institution, and later how it took over the administration of the entire nation. Okay, so first, in order to, so although the company was gaining popularity, gaining territory, the British government could not find any proper revenue. Although the British East India Company uh, created or generated vast amount of wealth, the British government didn't get any money. So where was this money going to? That was a question. Okay, so the money was going to the pockets of these officers or the lavish lifestyle of the officers. All this, and eventually on in 1700s we can find the East India Company to be full of debts. Okay, so the British government wanted to regulate the company's actions. So first we have seeing the Regulating Act of 1773. Okay, in that act, I'll be just going through the just small details of each act, and you can read the Laxmikanth book. I'll be providing you with the link. So just read through it. Then after that, you can watch my lecture. That will be better because it will be providing a revision series for you. Okay, Regulating Act of 1773. In that, Governor of Bengal became Governor General of Bengal, and first person was Warren Hastings. Okay, and Bengal province became Bengal province. At that time, it was the richest and one of the largest provinces controlled by the British. Even in the ancient times, it was one of the richest provinces in India. Okay, so it became the leader. We can say so-called the leader or the head, or it presided over both Bombay and Madras presidencies. Okay, and Bengal province became head of East India Company. Supreme Court was founded in Calcutta. It was in 1774, a year after the Regulating Act came into being. Then prohibited the Britishers from doing private trade. As I told you earlier, the British officers were making vast amount of wealth. So the company now prohibited, the government now prohibited the company officials doing private trade. The revenue and commercial details were accountable to the British Parliament. So why this act is important? The first step taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of East India Company. It recognized for the first time the political and administrative functions of the company. Okay, and the third reason, it laid the foundations of central administration in India. So from this Regulating Act onwards, we can see a centralization aspect in the British rule. Okay, slowly the entire power will be concentrated to a certain person. That kind of aspect can be seen throughout for some time in the history of India, all throughout these acts. Okay, now the second one is Amending Act of 1781. In that it's separated. We have seen in the previous act, the Supreme Court was created. So there was a clash between the company and the Supreme Court. Okay, and there was Court of Directors, which was another administrative body of what, by the East India Company. So there was a clash between East India Company and the Supreme Court. So there was a clash of powers about how the revenue should be collected. Supreme Court had different view for this. So separated. So this act separated, or it drew the functions of the Court of Directors and Supreme Court. Separated Supreme Court from revenue details of the company. Drew a line between the limitations of the Court of Directors and Supreme Court. Supreme Court given jurisdictions of the inhabitants, that is, Hindus were treated according to the Hindu law and Muslims were treated with Muslim law. Now we have the Pitt's India Act of 1784. Okay, Now, East India Company territories came to be known as British possessions in India. Board of Control was established. Okay, now Board of Control was different from Court of Directors. So, Board of Control looked into revenue and administration. Now, Court of Directors looked into commercial decisions. So, we can see C. Court of Directors, commercial decisions. Board of Control, revenue and administration. So, what was the aim of this act? It created a distinction between the political and commercial functions of the company. Okay, now next one is Charter Act of 1793. Monopoly of the company was extended for 20 more years, and that time the Governor General of Bengal was Lord Cornwallis. So his power was increased to a large extent. It gave more power to the Governor General of Bengal. Now, Charter Act of 1813. Now we can see the East India Company lost its monopoly in India. There were other private companies that were urging the British government to enter into India, and India was seen as a cash cow at that time. All these officers were coming back were rich, and also the government was also generating a good profit. They were basically looting our country. So other private players wanted a share of this. So East India Company finally lost their monopoly in India, and they were limited to selling tea. Okay, in tea market they had a monopoly, and they also could continue trade with China. Now in 1830 we can see the arrival of Christian missionaries to India, and Western education also spread to India. Authorized the local governments in India to impose taxes on persons and also impose punishments. Okay, now Charter Act of 1833. Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. First Governor General of India was who? William Bentinck. Company's territories were held by it in trust for His Majesty, his heirs and successors. Civil and military powers were given to the Governor General of India. It attempted to introduce, it made an attempt to introduce an open competition for the selection of civil servants. But at that time, we need to know that the structure was that only British had a proper control over the civil servants. That's why most of the acts or most of the laws that were introduced by the British government could not actually penetrate into the system of East India Company. The Court of Directors had a proper control in the administration, in the commercial activities of the company. So, in order to break that, the civil service had to be made open, but they could not do it because there was a huge opposition against it. So, point to be noted in this act is that the Governor General of India was given exclusive legislative powers for the entire British India. Laws made under the previous acts were called regulations, while laws made under this act were called acts. Now we can see another aspect in this period, that is, the executive supremacy is coming into being. Okay, Charter Act of 1853. Covenantal civil service came open to Indians. So, although they made an attempt in 1833, finally they were succeeded in 1853. Macaulay Committee, there is a committee on Indian civil services, was appointed in 1854. Can be asked as a question. Just note it. In the East India Company's rule, allowed to retain the possessions of Indian territories in trust for the British Crown. But this time, in the previous act, it was given 20 years extension was given. But this time, in Charter Act of 1853, there was no time period, which means the company's possessions can be removed at any time. Okay, it introduced local representation in Indian Legislative Council. Now, we can see the revolt of 1857 happening, which almost led the British people or British government losing India. We have seen all the aspects of the rebels and the revolt of 1857 in the previous videos. You have to see all these videos in order to understand the entire aspect of the historical background of Indian polity. Okay, so crown rule starts. So what happened? The Government of India Act of 1858 comes into being a year after the revolt. The Secretary of State, a new position was established in India. Okay, Her Majesty's Government. Okay, it was given Her Majesty's Government, a direct control of the Queen. Court of Directors and Board of Control were abolished. Now, this marked the end of company rule. Governor General of India became Viceroy. The first Viceroy was Lord Canning. And point to be noted, this act was enacted in the wake of the revolt of 1857. Now, Indian Council Act of 1861. Non-official members invited by the Viceroy. There were four people: Maharaja of Patiala, Maharaja of Benares, Sir Dinkar Rao. Okay, three people: Maharaja of Patiala, Maharaja of Benares, Sir Dinkar Rao. Okay, now Legislative Council was formed, gave power to the Viceroy to pass ordinance in case of an emergency. It had a validity of 6 months. Portfolio system, like healthcare sector, defense sector, all this portfolio system was established in what? In the Indian Council Act of 1861. Indian Council Act of 1892. It extended the number of legislative council but maintained majority to them. Nomination to non-official members. Earlier, the Viceroy chose the members to the Legislative Council. Now, the recommendation of provincial legislative councils and the Bengal Chamber of Commerce were also accepted. Okay, and budgets were also started to be discussed. Now, Indian Council Act of 1909, one of the very important Councils Act. That is, or we can say the Morley Minto reforms. Lord Morley Minto is, we can say Lord Minto is considered as what? The father of Indian communalism or communal electorates. Okay, and increase the number of Central Legislative Council from 16 to 60. And Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first member of Viceroy's Executive Council. Separate electorate. This is the most important part. Separate electorates were formed for Muslims to elect Muslim leaders. Okay, now we have Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. That is the Indian Council Act of 1990. In this case, we can see the Montagu is actually the Secretary of State who is in Britain, and Lord Chelmsford is the Viceroy. Same goes to Morley Minto. Morley is the Secretary of State and Minto is the Viceroy. Okay. Separate electorate expanded to 6 converted Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. Divided provincial subjects to transfer subjects. That is, transfer subjects that are governed by the governor and his council of ministers. Reserve subjects administered by governor and the executive council. So diarchy was created. Now bicameralism, upper and lower house, was also created. Now granted limited franchise. At that time, about based on property tax and education, we can say about 10% of the population was given voting rights. The High Commissioner of India in a new office was established that did the same work of the Secretary of State. Public Service Commission was established in 1926. Okay. Another point to be noted is that objective of this act was a gradual introduction of responsible government, an answerable government. Okay. Was a creation of an answerable government was the main aim of Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. Okay. Now we can see the arrival of Simon Commission. Okay. Sir John Simon came to India. All members were British. Why John Simon came to India? Why was he opposed? All these aspects we have discussed in the previous lectures. So see to it, especially in the partition and before India on the eve of independence. All these lectures we have given in the previous videos. So look into it. Before we start the video about polity historical background, you need to see all these videos so you can get a proper idea, a clarity can be generated. So they recommended the abolition of diarchy, and it was opposed because all the members were British. They came to see the problems of Indians, but there were no Indians in the commission. So there was Simon Go Back movements. Okay, the establishment of Federation of India and princely state. Okay, that were the recommendations of Simon Commission. And another important act. This act was between B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhi. Okay, Puna Pact. The separate electorate. See, the when the separate electorate system came into being, the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes they wanted separate electorates, but Gandhiji opposed this idea because Gandhiji wanted the depressed class people to be in the forefront, or he wanted these people to have recognition. And he thought that if separate electorates were created for the depressed classes, they would naturally be excluded from the main class. So, what happened? He took a fast unto death in Yerawada jail in Pune. The agreement between the leaders of the Congress and the depressed class, Puna Pact, retained the Hindu electorate and gave reserved seats. Reserved seats were given to the depressed classes. Now, another important act, Government of India Act of 1935. Central, provincial, and concurrent list was created. RBI was established. Bicameralism was established in 6 out of 11 provinces. 10% adult franchise was given. Federal, Provincial, and Joint Service Commission established. Federal Court is established in 1937. Okay, now the final act by the British, that is Indian Independence Act of 1947. The partition plan by Lord Mountbatten was accepted by Muslim League and the Congress. Okay, because the British were in a hurry to leave India because after the war they were devastated. After the World War II they were devastated, and due to the opposition from our political leaders, they were planning to leave India. Okay, and Mountbatten suddenly accepted the proposal by Jinnah to partition the state. Okay, so partition plan was accepted by Lord Mountbatten, and it abolished the position of viceroy. India became a dominion. Dominion means you are an independent country, but the head of the state belongs to another country. Okay, that is a dominion. And abolished Secretary of State and extended to Secretary of Commonwealth. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor General of new Dominion of India. So, question can be asked, why, or question can arise in your mind, why Lord Mountbatten? Oh, he's a British man. Why did he become Governor General of the Dominion of India even after the Indian Independence Act of 1947? Because Jawaharlal Nehru had asked him to stay. Because when the British declared that they were leaving, actually the Congress or the freedom fighters or our leaders, they were not prepared. Although we were demanding our independence, they never thought that the British were going to leave our country so fast. So Jawaharlal Nehru had asked Lord Mountbatten to stay back for some time until the constitution and all are created, until their proper stability, political stability was created. So I hope you guys were able to follow in our today's lecture. So do subscribe, guys, for more videos, and best of luck for all the guys, for all the people who are preparing for UPSC and other government exams. So until next time, God bless you all. Jai Hind.